Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and I am so excited to be celebrating 10 years of meaningful conversations with you. As we step into our new primetime hour, it's such an honor to share this exciting new chapter with you. So whether you're starting your day out, headed to work, or listening from wherever you are, this hour is designed to bring you thoughtful dialogue, fresh insight, and inspiring stories so you can make every moment count. So thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive in. We're here today with special guest, Dr. Tony Nader, who's here to share with us his new book, The Power of Caring. Who cares, why it matters, and how conscious caring creates a fulfilling and connected life. What if caring isn't about weakness, but one of the greatest forms of human strength? Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. Dr. Tony Nader is a Harvard and MIT-trained neuroscientist, physician, Vedic scholar, and the global leader of the Transcendental Meditation Organizations. A New York Times bestselling author, his work bridges modern science and ancient wisdom to explore consciousness, health, and human potential. So welcome to the show, Dr. Tony Nader.
Thank you, Marianne. So wonderful to be with you.
Oh my goodness, what a great honor it is to have you here and to talk about this book. And in The Power of Caring, you describe caring as something woven into the structure of life itself. What inspired you to explore caring?
The exploration of caring, or the book itself, came from really watching two things happen at the same time. On one hand, I have met countless people, parents, caregivers, doctors, teachers, leaders, who genuinely want to help others, but are exhausted, burned out, sometimes even resentful, because the caring has cost them everything. On the other hand, I have met people who have withdrawn from caring altogether into some kind of indifference, even cynicism, because caring hurt them too much. Both responses come from love, but a love, unfortunately, that has lost its bearings. So I wanted to write a book that did not tell people to care less and did not tell them to care harder. I wanted it to offer a different relationship with caring altogether. Caring that comes from a place of inner steadiness rather than from anxiety. And the other inspiration was my own dual training. I am a neuroscientist by background, and I have spent decades studying how the brain responds to stress, to love, to belonging. I am also a long-time student of consciousness, what it is, where it comes from, how it shapes the way we experience life. Those two paths, the science and the inner life, pointed me toward the same conclusion. Caring is not unsustainable by nature. It only becomes unsustainable when it has no inner ground beneath it. So the book is in many ways a letter to anyone who has cared too much and not known how to keep going. It is also a practical guide. The world has plenty of caring people. What it needs is caring that lasts. Not caring more, caring better.
What a profound statement. And so are we hardwired to care?
A human species is hardwired to care because we evolved to support each other. And by supporting each other and being sensitive to each other and working together, we were able to overcome difficulties and challenges in the jungle with other species. So, to my opinion, Homo sapiens has evolved a higher brain through caring, which connects the people not as separate individuals, but as part of one entity, a conscious entity that is beyond the individual localized value. And so what we have today, for example, we have the power of being the greatest cook in the world, being the best pilot in the world, being the best everything, not only in our isolated self, but through best cooks that offer us meals, best pilots that takes us, best musicians, best doctors, best discoverers of science, best painters, best artists. And so you have all that richness that we share. And by caring to share it and by caring about it, then we feel one with it. And therefore our sense of individuality expands. And this has been wired so deeply in us that when we care, the nervous system reacts with hormones that are like bonding hormones, oxytocin, that give us strength of connectedness. The nervous system reacts with dopamine that gives us reinforcement so that we care again, because it feels pleasurable, it feels enjoyable, it feels settling, it feels less isolated, it removes our solitude and sense of separation. It changes our parasympathetic system, it balances it, which is something that balances the blood pressure, the heart rate. So it's physiologically there within us. And it's always a reminder that we are really deeply wired to care.
So, how can people, and kind of to dovetail with what you said earlier, how can people get to a place where they can care deeply without feeling the need for protecting themselves or getting to a place of burnout?
It's a science and an art. That is a science that comes through understanding who we are, where we are, what's our situation, what is for us to care about, what is not for us to care about, at what moment, in what way, and the importance to care for ourselves, care for the carer, the one who actually cares for others. We had a program called Heal the Healers, and that is, came out of the COVID times and with so much suffering by doctors and nurses and hospital staff during COVID, so that many became depressed and anxious. And therefore, they haven't known how to truly balance the desire to care for others without burnout. So how to do it is to understand. That's the conscious caring. So there are different aspects in caring. There is the empathy, which is also built in and wired in us, which means when you see somebody in pain, some changes actually are happening in their nervous system, but there are mirror neurons in our own brain that actually mirror that, and therefore we actually feel the pain ourselves. That is empathy. And these are genetic reactions that happen that are part of what we talked about in terms of we are wired to care. But there is a higher brain. The higher brain is the cortical aspect, the top aspects of the nervous system that allows us to maintain broad comprehension. And that is very typical in terms of how we react when we are exposed to challenge, we are exposed to stress, we are exposed to demands on us. We have a system also that protects us, and that is the fight or flight response, fight, flight, or freeze response, which cuts off the upper parts of the brain. So that is the kind of care that is, if you like, reflex care, based on immediate empathy. And then you have more than that. You have compassion. Compassion is not only you feel what is happening, but you see the situation. You understand it from a broad perspective. And conscious caring is not only you feel and you see, but also you know how to act. So you remain stable within yourself. And there are techniques for that. In the book, I offer different techniques, different moments of quick resets when we are under strong situation or we're asking questions based on what situation we are in. Is it a crisis? Is it a divorce? Is it a money problem? Is it a relation to children? Is it relation to friends or whatever? There are different little techniques that are there that help us to reset, rebalance, and consciously care. One technique that is very profound is transcendental meditation. Transcendental meditation is a very simple technique that allows the mind to settle down and remove the stresses and strains that are there and allow it to be clearer and not react in a reflexive way, but react in a conscious way where the actor is a master of their decision rather than reflex and panic under critical situations. So there are simple techniques. There is a profound technique, which is transcending, which means to go beyond the surface level and experience the self. It's a technique. We call it a technique because it's not just, a moral obligation or intellectual guidance, although the intellect has to understand what is happening, but it's things that you can do so that you are able to maintain yourself and care consciously in a proper way.
I've had so many people recently tell me that they feel so overwhelmed and emotionally drained. What do you think is causing this in so many people and the way that they're feeling now? Is there something that we need to really look at that's causing this issue?
Yeah, this is over caring, and there is a deep distinction between being able to care without crossing the line of the distinction between caring and over caring. So they can look, caring and over caring can look identical from the outside. The difference is really internal. Caring comes from a place of inner steadiness. I see you, I want your well-being, and I can offer what is mine to offer without needing the outcome to look in a certain way. Overcaring comes from a place of anxiety. I cannot bear for you to be in pain, so I must fix this immediately, and I will not feel okay until you feel okay. The first protects your energy. The second actually consumes it. There are 3 signs that you have crossed the line. The first is the body. Caring leaves you tired in a clean way. You have given something and you can rest. Overcaring leaves you depleted, irritable, sometimes physically unwell. Your shoulders are tight, your sleep is bad, your body is telling you something. So the body is telling you something. We have to listen to our body, which gives us an indication of whether our caring is balanced or we are over-caring. The second thing that we have to have as a sign of prevention from being overwhelmed or being exhausted and all of that, and the sign that we have to look for is resentment. Because pure caring does not leave a residue. When resentment starts to build toward the people you love, toward the work you choose, toward the obligations you took on, that is usually a signal that you are over-caring. You are giving from a reservoir that is already empty. And the empty reservoir is starting to send you the bill, is sending you the requirement. The car needs fuel. If you don't put fuel in the car, it stops working. So caring for yourself is very important. And in that context of being overwhelmed or exhausted from caring, and the prevention to that, the third sign that you can look for is control. If caring is comfortable with the other person's freedom, you ask yourself that question. Over-caring needs them to do a particular thing so that you can feel okay yourself. When you notice yourself trying to manage another's adult's choices, you have crossed from caring into something else. The good news is that once you can see it, you can correct it. And that is where awareness comes in. Awareness is most of the work. And to be able to be aware, one has to be settled, one has to be quiet within oneself. And this is where the techniques come. Take a step back, take a deep breath, few deep breaths, think about the question, some questions that you can ask, or on a platform of inner settlement, practice transcendental meditation, which gives that inner stability so we do not overreact and we don't find ourselves over-caring and getting burnt out and exhausted.
How would you define conscious caring?
Conscious caring is caring in a way that takes into consideration three things, I would say. Because in every situation in life, there are three aspects. In every experience that we have, there are three aspects. There is the subject, the one who is experiencing. There is the object, what you are experiencing. The person, the situation, the object, we call the object is whatever is in your conscious experience. And then there is how your self, you are the knower, you are the subject, how you are connecting to that object. So in reflex caring, you are acting from a level that is based on stress, strain, the subconscious acting, maybe fear, maybe anxiety, maybe sometimes even guilt or a sense of obligation. And you are acting from that level, which is more on the reflex level. Now, the other aspect is how you relate to the object. So there is the subject, there is how and the circumstances that you relate to the object. And this gives us an idea about what we can call, let's call it the sense of obligation, the sense of you have to do it, the morality part, and how it is usually done. So there is that other aspect. So there is the instinctive aspect, that reflex based on stress, strain, tension, fatigue, whatever, and you react. And there is also that aspect where you feel morally obligated to do it. Now, all of these are important and they can help, so we don't want to undermine them. But when it becomes a moral obligation, sometimes the trouble comes from that, because then it becomes performance, which means this is how you have been told you should do under this and that situation. You should look the person in the eyes, you should smile, you should do this, you should do that. You should have, some acts of kindness here and there, try to get out of the routine. And these do's and don'ts, although helpful and necessary in many cases, they become sometimes a source of the trouble in caring, because they impose on us something that is beyond what we really would like to do, what we would normally do, what we sincerely want to do. And therefore, an obligation is part of the different kinds of caring. And again, I want to stress, this is good. It's not like it's bad, and the instinctive caring is good. But conscious caring comes more in terms of understanding, who am I? What's my relation to the person or the situation I am seeing? What is the situation? What does it demand? And be aware of all the implications of the situation, what it demands properly, and what am I, how am I prepared to do it? So conscious caring actually is not something that you have to create, it's something that you have to be. And that is where the techniques offered are very important. Again, in particular, transcending, going beyond morning and evening, 20 minutes, transcending the surface value and being settled on an emotional level personally, so there is clarity, then you're not acting on the basis of fear or stress. Then you assess the situation properly, you are conscious, and consciousness means how broad your understanding is, how wide it is, not as a limited perspective under stress and strain. What's your relation to the situation and what can you offer it? And what is the situation itself and what does it demand from you? So, what is mine to care for? What is theirs to do? What is the relationship? Of course, this sounds like, oh, you have to analyze a lot, but when it comes from a spontaneous level and you have, practiced some of these techniques and ways and ideas and thought of them, that becomes natural and spontaneous. So it's not like an additional effort. To the contrary, we want to create a spontaneous, natural way so that caring doesn't overtax us. And when we are conscious, we are also conscious of ourselves. Am I extending myself? Am I pushing my body? And this brings us back to the previous points that we said. That in how many ways can you tell that you are over-caring, or this kind of caring is leading to stress or leading you to overwhelm and burnout? So these would be some ideas about considering that point.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And it can feel so overwhelming sometimes. I mean, I care about animals and people. And when I see situations that happen that I don't feel like I can do anything, I think there's a sense of helplessness for that.
Exactly. What is mine to care is a big topic. What is mine to care? And what can I actually do about it? And in which way I can do that? So caring in a way that is sustainable, caring in a way that protects us, allows us to care more for others also. So caring for ourselves, we have to accept that. Because, I often give the example, if you have one person sitting and crying and they are sad, it's your friend, you look at them, naturally the mirror neurons in your brain are going to be activated. So you're going to feel actually something very profound that is happening. That is the empathy part, which is also natural. Now, if you let this go on and you feel that the best way to do it is to sit next to them and to start crying with them because you feel empathy and that will reassure them that they are not alone and all of that, that is fine. But what we ended up with, we had one person crying, now we have two people crying. And what we want is more than empathy and compassion on just the feeling level. We want conscious caring on the acting level, because conscious caring is a verb. I have a chapter called Conscious Caring is a verb also, which means you have to do something about it. And this is where you can act in a way that is holistic and that takes care of yourself, and you know what is yours to do, what is theirs to do. And also, small acts of care, small acts of reaching out, small activities in our community, etc., can go a long way without having to carry a great burden. So I separate and contrast caring and carrying. Caring is something real, conscious caring, and carrying is burdening if you just carry something. So you carry the burden of the world, of the environment, of all that, and all fears, etc. And what are you doing about it, or what can you do about it, or what is yours to do about it? Now, you might say, oh, it's overwhelming, it's a big thing. How can I do? Small acts of care, small things that happen. A Rosa Parks that takes the bus and doesn't want to give its place. Small thing, of course, supported by her community. Or, planting trees that started some group, it started planting trees locally and became a huge thing. Cleaning a river, some students started to do this, and then it was followed by many, and it became a huge thing. There are many examples that are also shared in the book that explain how even small acts, by small steps, can be very important. Even you smile to somebody, you open the door to somebody, you pay attention to some elderly or something like that. They are likely, and the people who watch it, they are likely to repeat it also. This has been shown that it can carry on 2, 3, 4 even levels, which means when you do something kind to somebody, that person is likely to do it to another person. And so your act of care, even very small, is going to influence people that you will actually never meet. And that is how it spreads. So give importance to the small acts of caring. Be aware of the need for yourself to be healthy and happy and strong, so you can give health and happiness and strength. And that's how you can help your friend who is crying. If you come and you are fatigued and weak and stressed, you can only help them or share with them your fatigue and stress or collapse with them. But if you come as able and clear and strong and happy, then you know how to share happiness and strength and well-being.
I really like the chapter you had in your book about caring for our future self and the person we're becoming. Can you share on that a little bit?
It's beautiful because the self actually is discussed a lot in the book. I think, Marianne, you noticed that, of course. What is the self? How is the self, the individual self? There is the small self and there is the bigger self. And the small self is our small individuality, how we see ourselves, our ego, our small individuality. It's like a wave on the surface of the ocean. A wave is separate. One wave is separate from another wave, separate from a third wave. And they can feel like they're they are a threat to each other, or how do I work together? They don't know. If your vision is localized in space, then you see only one wave, and the other waves are potential challenges or anxiety creating. But the true inner self is the whole ocean. The ocean is ourself, and the wave is one aspect that appears on the surface. We are all the ocean. And that is why when we go through life, we still have that intimacy of ourselves, even though we change. We were looking different, we have a different jobs, we have different conditions, we were children, we were school children, then we learned to buy a bicycle or learn to drive a car, or then learn the profession, we grow, we become a parent or not, or a leader or whatever, an artist. We completely change. And yet we are the same self. We recognize that throughout our life. There is something deeper than that. And that is ultimately the deepest self is the ocean that makes all the different waves. And this is where, as consciousness develops, we can start seeing the other as myself in a natural, spontaneous way. Now, when it comes to myself through time, intuitively, in a superficial way, we don't look like it as if it's ourself. Almost we see it as a different person. We see it as something that we don't know what it will be like. We don't know what will happen. We don't know the circumstance. We don't know what is the situation. And therefore, we do things today and we can harm that person that for us is not maybe experienced right away as ourself. But as our consciousness develops, as we become more established within our deeper self, which is the ocean of being, then naturally and spontaneously we start doing the things that will help that future self. And so, there are techniques like in the book, we say, write a letter to your future self, and ask yourself, what will my future self thank me for in what I'm doing today, even the small things that I'm doing today? That is conscious caring, conscious awareness. Through intellect, through analysis, through discussion, we open our awareness to a reality, which is not only based on reflex and moment-by-moment interaction. We spoke about space. I see myself in this body. The space can extend. I see myself in my children. I see myself in my family. I see myself in my community. I see myself in my country, in my world, in my environment. And that is the true nature of expanding the self on the theme or the level of space, who and what, but also time. Expanding ourselves in our time. What will the future me thank me for today that I would do something that will help my future me? What will the future generation thank us for in what we are doing today? And we are the continuation. We are not gone. That's what we feel like, oh, I will be gone and, they will take care of themselves. But actually, it's the same continuation of being. The self that appears in the others, that appears in our children, in our community, what we have taught them, what we have done to them, reverberates and ripples through space and through time. And so by being aware of this, having a world view that is more complete, more embracing in time and space, we are truly understanding what conscious caring means, and therefore protecting ourselves, protecting our life, and in the age of technology also raising our consciousness so that we don't become, slaves of technology or artificial intelligence. This is a whole different topic, but we need to raise our consciousness so the future is also under our control.
Well, and to dovetail that, how is modern technology influencing human connection and empathy?
Modern technology is influencing in quite profound ways, because spending time on the internet and on flipping around different things is interesting. I'm not saying it's not interesting. The proof is people are attached to it and they do it all the time. But they have a perspective of reality which is presented from certain different angles, and particularly angles of people who know certain tricks or have some ideas or live in certain ways, etc. And then by comparing to that, our young generation maybe feels like I don't have this or I have that, and then there is a sense of lack, a sense of objective lack and lack of completion, lack of fulfillment. And then the attention is going to objects of perception and situations that one wants to have. So having becomes important. And if one doesn't have that, one feels either less and therefore depressed, or afraid of what's going on, different ideas, insecure about situations. And also, modern technology is giving information to people that never any time before in history we have had. You wake up in the morning and you have the news, splash news from all over the world, what's going on, and outrage is kind of algorithms are used for outrage because they feel they attract people, and so what you see on these things are often extreme things that happen, of course, or they are presented in different ways to impress certain ideas or certain angles. And then those who are exposed to this modern technology in this way are feeling all these overwhelmed. Wake up in the morning and you're already overwhelmed by what's going on. And sometimes it takes you too far and you forget the immediate people that you can be in touch with, that can nourish you and you can nourish them, that you can uplift them, you can care about them and create these hormones and changes in your physiology that are calming and encouraging. So this is one level of information and information overload through technology. The other one is the artificial intelligence, which is kind of taking over our thinking in a way, and is going to depend on how we train it and where we guide it. And that's a much more serious problem that I feel very concerned about. And that is, if we are training artificial intelligence purely for small benefits, but not global perspective, for, like it becomes kind of a war engine or a war thing, totally guided to protect me but destroy the other. What will happen when artificial intelligence will grow and develop and all of that? And how will it actually look at human beings and what they do? And whether it can make decisions that fool us because it decides that we are not adapted properly to the environment, adapted properly to continuity of nature and continuity of life. Now, of course, all this is theoretical and might seem science fiction, but it's becoming very real. And I'm saying that because what is the solution? The solution is not to eliminate such wonderful tools as artificial intelligence and technology. They are absolutely great. They can help us cure disease. They can help us answer questions. They can make life much better. But if our consciousness doesn't evolve as humanity and doesn't grow beyond smallness and limitations, and if that smallness and those limitations are guiding artificial intelligence, then artificial intelligence can go in the wrong way and can literally do us something that we would have created, but which is very, very unfortunate for the human race, even as a whole. So at this time, this is one other aspect of the importance of caring consciously, caring in a broad way, which comes from inner clarity, from wider perspective, from more inclusive vision of what reality is, because that is what reality is. And that is how we can also help us to overcome difficulties and guide technology also, rather than it taking over our lives.
You have so much wonderful research within this book. I'm sure this is like trying to pick a favorite child, but is there a piece of research that you have done that you felt was especially important for humanity to know?
Yeah, it's something unusual, I would say, but for me it was amazing. And that is what we can call the group effect, the group consciousness effect. When you transcend through transcendental meditation, there are many research studies, and I participated in some, that show that the body gets more balanced, health is better, physiology is stronger, behavior improves, intelligent decision making improves, reflexes are improved. So all the good things happen to the individual physiology through this simple mental technique. Very easy, very natural, very simple. It uses the nature of the mind to want to grow, to want to expand, and allows us to settle down within ourselves and experience inner state of wellness and calm and well-being mentally, but also physiologically. So this is wonderful. What is most interesting is that when a small group of people practice this technique in a society, there are transformations in society itself. So how this works? It works because there is a field of consciousness that is not limited by our body. It's a field like physics describes fields, quantum fields that are non-local, that are spread around, that interact with each other over space and time and immediately through processes like entanglement, etc. So there are many aspects of physics that point to fields at the level of underlying all what we see on the surface. So, to make a long story short, there is a field of consciousness. And I see this ultimate field, actually, of reality, even from physics perspective, as being a field of consciousness. And when a few people calm down within themselves, they are also calming down the entire field, letting the excitation become less, there is more balance, and there is going back to the source of oneself and of everything. So this is kind of theoretical, but what is beautiful, because you asked about research, what is beautiful is that when a small group of people practice this, then the whole society within surrounding that group has an improvement in many things, such as crime rate, hospital admission, even accidents of the roads, drug problems, issues of crime, etc. And all positive things happen. So this was fascinating, and my personal research was, kind of exceptional, because I was in a civil war and there were many villages around, and I happened to be trapped in one of them. And we taught the required percentage of people transcendental meditation in one village, because we couldn't even, because of civil war, you have to hide. And so we were teaching in a very small way and being careful. And, bombs were falling, fighting was happening all over, absolutely all over. And when this village had 1% of the people practicing transcendental meditation, like a miracle, everything calmed down and the people started to actually, play games, like soccer game, football game, tennis competition in a small village. And comparatively, the other villages, which was nothing changed for them other than this village having changed, the more surrounding these villages as controlled kept having the same problems. And we sent a questionnaire about it to the farmers, to the villagers, etc., to ask, why do you think this happens? Even the weather, they had they are farmers and they had, crops and things, and usually sometimes in spring some hail comes and destroys the crops. And so one big wave of bad weather had come to the region, and literally, unbelievably, miraculously, the hails went to different, were in different places as would have normally been. It's not that it would have increased, but it protected that village. And so when we asked the people the questions, what do you think happened this year? Most people didn't know what to say, but they said, God loves us this year. God seems to be kind to us this year. And God wants to help us this year. And so it brings us back to, God helps those who help themselves. And that by raising consciousness, you can see this, which for me was miraculous, but it's not miraculous in the sense that we cannot understand the mechanism. We can understand the mechanism from the field of consciousness. And there is other research like this that I participated on a global level that really demonstrates the power of consciousness for oneself and for our society.
And you talk about this in your book, how it's so easy to care for the people that we love and care about who have similar viewpoints. But for those that differ, it could be like politically, culturally, or even personally, how challenging that can be. So will transcendental meditation help with that?
Yes, absolutely. It helps because spontaneously you start seeing the other as yourself, spontaneously. Spontaneously is an important term because there are all kinds of guidance and like this, but people under stress and fear understandably cannot follow them because they feel the other is going to attack me or take away from me my beliefs or going to act in a way that is not conducive to my own growth and progress because they are different and they are thinking differently and my interest and their interests are separate. And so intellectually you can talk about it, but when experientially you feel a deeper sense of connection through transcending means to go beyond the surface. It's like going beyond the surface wave, knowing I am the ocean and all the waves are me. This happens through experience, and then experience can transform individual behavior in a natural way, and that's what we have seen even in underserved school where maybe children fight each other and there is crime, etc. So when they practice these techniques, there is tremendous change that happens in positive ways. So that is on that level of experience. I have done a whole webinar on caring across divides, particularly political divides. It was aired about a month ago, less than a month ago, where we discuss again these three aspects of how I see things, which means what kind of glasses am I wearing? If I wear yellow glasses, things will definitely look yellow. So if you have a white paper and you're wearing yellow glasses and your neighbor there is wearing red glasses and they look at the white paper, they'll see a red paper. You don't know, they don't know that they are wearing the glasses. And you are right, they are right, but they also are both kind of wrong because the true nature of the paper is white, and they could fight all day about the color of the paper and think the other is crazy, but it's because they have a kind of prejudice, a kind of colored vision that is filtering their perspective based on a number of factors. Whatever those factors can be justified, can be whatever, community-based, cultural-based, etc. But at least having the awareness of that is where conscious awareness is important rather than, again, reflex and being humble about one's perspective. So that is one's own perspective. The other thing is, as we said, the connection with the situation. So if you are being presented an event or something from a certain angle, with certain music, with certain words, with certain things, etc., you're, even if you are already like kind of clear, so let's say you remove your yellow glasses, but somebody puts a yellow light in the room, and the paper will look yellow. So this is the medium, the means of connecting, the means of understanding what the paper is about. And that also has to be careful. You know, if you only listen to the news from one angle, you're going to be reinforcing a certain angle. I'm not saying that that angle is right or wrong. What I'm saying is to be humble and to see what is going on that might be different. The third thing is the object, the paper itself. Now, the paper can be white, it's fine, but nature is expressing itself through different colors, through different forms. This is part also of the nature of existence, that there is variety, there is individuality, there is, you know, the garden is full of beautiful flowers, different colors, different shapes. Nature is part of it's part of its expression to have multiplicity and to have differences. So how differences can coexist? Not by eliminating differences, but by knowing that at the basis of difference is the same life, the same consciousness, the same wholeness, which can express itself in infinite number of ways. And that is the beauty of understanding that I might be seeing things because of my own stresses and strains. I might be seeing things in this way because the medium of presentation to me, the logic that was presented to me is like that. Do I have enough humility to ask other questions, to see where things might be right, where things might be wrong, where there are nuances? Maybe things are not just black and white. Maybe they are colored and the colors are beautiful and they can enrich life. So what can I learn from those who say something different to me? How can I have a word of kindness where I do not generalize the concerns and dehumanize the people? You know, the unfortunate thing about the political divides and this divides in society is that we take one aspect and we generalize it as if the whole human being has become a catastrophe or something wrong, or they are bad and that's it, no matter what they do, no matter what they say. So you might disagree with them on certain things, and you can agree on many things. And maybe in some of the things you disagree, maybe you can find some lesson, some idea that can help you also. So we have this, if you like, dialectic, which means even things that seem opposed, instead of them conflicting and leading to problems, they can support each other by finding the best in each and coming up with something that is more holistic, that takes into consideration differences, that doesn't dehumanize people because they think one thing in a way that you think differently.
I think now that's such an important piece. And my goodness, Doctor, I found that your book, The Power of Caring, to be just such an impactful read. Where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community and learn more about your work?
I have a website. It's minor. It's called drtonynader.com. And there are some aspects, of this in it. I have written a book before this one, which also became a New York Times bestseller. It's called Consciousness is All There Is. And that's the book that presents a worldview about what consciousness is, how we can define the mind-body problem. Are these two things? Is consciousness different from matter? Or is consciousness emerging from matter, or the other way around, which is my thesis, in a sense, thesis that consciousness is primary, but then you have to explain how the physical world arises. And that gives us a platform of understanding, a worldview. And one doesn't have to agree with this worldview or to practice transcendental meditation to take advantage of it as thinking and logic. And the second book, which is coming in July, The Power of Caring, which is more from the heart, less than, it has the full power of the intellect and the knowledge, and I hope people will find that and like it. But it's also about action, about self-help, about caring that can support life, that can remove isolation, that can give fulfillment, that can keep us connected under different circumstances. And so that is the second book, which can be pre-ordered and to encourage, the knowledge more than just the sale of the book, of course, just the knowledge and sharing this, what I feel is very important, as you said beautifully, Marianne, in this time, but also in every time. So to encourage that, I'm doing webinars, and these webinars deal with different topics. We talked about how to care across political divide. This was one webinar. There is another one coming, I guess, in June 10 or somewhere around that. That is about love, loss, and how to care in relationships, which is very important because loss and grief and these points, at the same time, love and care and accepting change and being able to love even within change, and how love can grow even if it changes form. And then a third webinar will be a big philosophical question: does the universe care? And this is also one of the reasons I wrote the book, because when I was doing conferences and talks, people will ask me, we have this child that had a problem, a tree fell on them, they were walking, innocent child, why should they deserve this? And if things happen or calamities happen, is there someone out there caring? Does the universe care? And so I took this to heart, and this was one of the inspirations to also write the book. So the book you can purchase at thepowerofcaringbook.com, and we hope you can purchase it and we can make it available to a large number of people, make it a success in the sense that it's knowledge of unifying, of creating wholeness, of softening the grief, removing the burnout and the overwhelm, can help people. That's the main focus. And so thanks for all those. Thanks for Marianne for having me, and for anyone who supports this knowledge and this aspect of life.
Well, thank you, Dr. Nader. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, The Power of Caring. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.